Good afternoon. My name is Scott Whalen. I'm with Amazon Web Services. Next up, happy to introduce Panalytics. Panalytics is building the next generation of surveillance software to help financial services industry focus on building and identifying regulatory compliance risk and violations like insider trading. These gentlemen joining us today have probably the best expertise in this category. They have been in this industry throughout their career, starting with banking, working with software companies, and consulting organizations, with always the convergence of focus on regulatory compliance and convergence of technologies. They have focused on developing a solution, understanding customers' needs, where the existing surveillance software is broken, and bringing a better solution to the marketplace. And with that, let's make history. Please join me in welcoming Chris and Chris, co-founders of Panalytics.
All right. So hi, everyone. So what we are doing is building the next generation of surveillance software for financial services firms. Since the financial crisis of 2008, U.S. regulators have fined financial services firms over $204 billion for regulatory compliance violations like market manipulation and insider trading. This is an unprecedented amount and a growing problem as firms struggle to identify compliance risk across too much information in too many places. At the root of this problem is the surveillance software currently employed by firms today to identify these risks across their people and their data. These solutions are often decades old, operate in silos, and do a really poor job of accurately identifying violations. The net result is that firms often have multiple surveillance solutions employed at a really high cost. I'm Chris, co-founder and CEO of Panalytics, and we're building the next generation of surveillance software to solve these problems. And we're doing this in three ways. First, we're solving the problem of siloed surveillance by unifying the analysis not only across a firm's internal data, such as their electronic communications and their trades, but also across external information like market data and news alerts sourced from fintech sandbox partners like Thomson Reuters and EDI. Second, we're solving the problem of inaccurate violation identification by offering the industry's first crowdsourced compliance library powered by machine learning that enables even the smallest firms to leverage the compliance intelligence from the largest. And third, we're including and substantially improving on the workflows that compliance teams expect and regulators often require. All of these features come together to enable firms to paint a much more comprehensive and accurate picture of compliance risk while reducing cost. But enough from me, let's see the product in action.
Hello everyone, I'm Chris Amatulli, co-founder and CTO of Panalytics. And I'm going to walk you through a real-world example and explain some of our product's core features and benefits. Jumping straight into it, here's an example of an insider trading violation that our product has identified over real data. In Panalytics, all related data is stored in a single container known as a case for easy review. Think of a case like an old-style manila envelope holding all events related to a single occurrence or violation. Each of these events can be explored in detail. For example, data sources like email, instant messaging, trades, and even news. Keeping in mind, with existing surveillance products, firms need to spend lots of time connecting these dots by jumping from one system or department to another. Now that a violation has been identified and a case constructed, the second benefit of our product is to incorporate a flexible and customizable workflow process. Here you can define how and by who a case or event will need to be reviewed. For example, a compliance officer reviewing a case can send the case or even an individual event to another person or group for review. The access models created can grant temporary access based on an audit or time action or permanent access to the case. This provides the ability to increase collaboration across the firm by easily sharing information without having to create copies or use unsecure transfer methods like printing or emailing. Additionally, every action that a user takes is captured in a fully immutable audit trail, a regulatory requirement, and can also be used as a data source for violation identification later. In other words, we know exactly what a reviewer took action on, or, in this case, laid eyes on. Next up is an example of how our product can visualize a result of this particular case. Keeping it short and simple, in the interest of time, here we have identified someone who improperly disclosed information. Note, this is where most systems stop, but we continue on across multiple data sources, including email, instant messaging, phone, and personal trading to a person that made a trade potentially based on that information. Mind you, this specific case is based off of real data and was found originally by the SEC through backtracking from the initial trade actor. Panalytics could have identified and stopped this much sooner, specifically when the non-public information first started being distributed outside the privileged group. In summary, Panalytics has the ability to track content as it changed hands, changed formats, and changed channels until we identify the person or persons that made a questionable trade action.
Okay, and so we are currently in beta, and we're working with a handful of financial services firms right now as pilot customers. We have room for a few more, so if you're interested in this or you'd like to know more about us in general, please come visit us later. Thank you.